Here's a crude drawing I made of a stem. As you can see from here, these are leaves. Okay, now this is the stem proper. Here, this is the stem proper. So if you look at this stem, there are points here, around here, where you see the leaf springing out, and some projections. These projections are known as buds. Now this point here and here and here, where these leaves spring out, are known as the node. They are the nodes, and in between them here, this point from this node here to this node here, this point here is known as the internode. Generally speaking, a stem is divided into nodes and internode. The nodes are points where the flowers, the leaves spring out from the stem, while the internode is the space or the distance between two nodes. Is the space that you find between two nodes. The stem normally has various functions. Some of the functions of the stem include support for the leaves. As you can see here in this crude drawing of mine, you can see the leaves springing out from the stem. The stem provides support for the leaf. They also provide a medium of transport, like from the roots to the leaves. Nutrients and fluids are being transported from the stem directly from the roots to supply the flowers and the leaves, and they can also store nutrients. The stem can store nutrients, and new living tissues can also be produced from the stem. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the internal structure of a stem, and here we're going to consider the internal structure of a dicot, or as you would call it, a dicotyledon. This is a crude drawing I made too. You can also see at this point here, this part, the outermost part, is known as the epidermis. While in between that, after the epidermis, directly after the epidermis, you find the cortex. After the cortex, there are layers of fibers here. These blue colors, these blue dots, they represent fibers. These fibers are known as bast fibers, although that's beyond the scope of this lecture. There are fibers there. Find fibers. Then after that, you would find the phloem. And then after that, you would find the xylem. The phloem and the xylem are conducting tissues. They transport nutrients, they transport fluids from the roots to the flowers and the leaves and to the other part of the plant itself. So these are conducting tissues. And then in the center, right here in the center here, is known as what we call the pith. Now what I described here, this drawing here, is a dicotyledon. It's an internal structure of a dicotyledon. In a monocotyledon, it's not normally like this. In a monocotyledon, you find more of the xylem, the phloem, in the outermost layer. So let me make a quick illustration of that. I'm going to make a quick illustration here. I'm going to make a quick illustration. Okay. So in a monocotyledon stem, this is what you find, right? This is a stem. Sorry, let's see. Okay. Now you would find around here, you'd find immediately after the epidermis, you start finding the phloem and the xylem more towards the outermost part of the plant. Plenty in the outermost part of the plant, plenty, and in scattered fashion. Note, scattered fashion. They are not arranged, well arranged as you would find in a dicot. They are more in the outermost part, and they are in a scattered fashion. That's what you find in a monocot stem. That's what you find in a monocot stem. And apart from that, also you'd also find that you also find that this xylem and this phloem, you find none of them in the center in a monocot stem. This is useful. It's a good way. You can have questions that ask you to differentiate between the monocot and dicot. There's a very good point. Towards the center, you don't find any of it, but here, if you consider, if you look at that here, this illustration of that of a dicot, you'd find the phloem here and the xylem extending directly towards the pits. You see them around here. Look at them here, extending directly towards the pit. This summarized version or a summarized lecture on the internal structure of a flowering plant. Thank you.